Hello, and thank you for tuning into another episode of Studio GDT Reviews. Today we have another special double feature episode, and we're going to be looking at both the custom order capability at Swordis.com and the resulting custom ordered sword through Swordis.com provided by HanBon Forge. So I'm very excited because it's two new things for this channel. It's my first time using Swordis.com to place an order, and it's my first time experiencing a HanBon Forge sword. They come highly recommended. There was a gentleman on Reddit who has 20 some plus, I think, or so when I first started posting there. Basically, it was like, you got to review one of these, you got to review one of these. So finally, we had an opportunity to make that happen. And we did so through the Swordis.com custom order website. And this episode is going to include two parts. The first part is going to be what the custom order experience through Swordis was like, and what one could expect in doing that. And then the second part would be the traditional review of the sword that was received. So it's going to be a little bit of a longer episode because those two things are combined. But if you are new to sword purchasing, I think this episode would be very beneficial for you to watch from start to finish, because I found the Swordis.com custom ordering experience to probably be the best that is out there currently as far as the information that they share with you and convey throughout the entire process, so you have a full understanding of what it is you're purchasing, why you're purchasing it, and how much it's not only going to add to your order, but time-wise what it's going to add to the order. So I'm not going to spend any more time in front of the camera talking about that. We'll just get right into that custom order experience. And the second half of the video will be the sword itself, and then we'll wrap everything up in the end. I hope you enjoy.
First, the disclaimers. I am not a professional martial artist, nor am I a professional sword reviewer. I'm simply a practitioner and an enthusiast. Some of the swords reviewed are sent free of charge as review samples. Others are purchased with my own funds. Regardless of how I obtain them, the review remains the same. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. My opinions are just that, mine alone. I'm bound to get things wrong from time to time. The hope is that when I get something right, that can potentially help you in your own journey.
We're going to start right off with the Swordis.com website. Here you can select from a section of different types of swords, as well as some pre-made options that are in stock, but we're going to take a look at the custom katana option. From here, it gives you a little bit of an idea of the things that you can select through it, as well as the 3 different manufacturers that are offered through their services. It will also show you the build time and the average price, as well as the various number of different customizable parts. Now, this is all controlled to make sure that these time frames that they list are accurate. So it's important to note that. If you click Start Building, it drops you down to choose a manufacturer to build. So we're going to go with HanBon Forge. From here, we have the option to select our steel type. What's great about this website is not only can you zoom in on images that they have for practically every option, there's little question marks for each thing. These provide pop-ups that give you detailed information about the how and the why you might want to select the particular option. So if you're not entirely certain what you need for your purpose, I think this is probably one of the best websites to give you those ideas. So as you hover over each option, it's going to tell you exactly the details of it. I think they might have a couple of picture issues on this section here, but the descriptions are all accurate to what you're selecting. So for my sword, I selected the 1095 folded clay tempered option, because it was a good balance, I think, between aesthetics as well as functionality. As you select an option, it adds it over onto the right side and includes your price. You notice they do also have some colored steel options if you want the flashy stuff. Next is the blade length that you get to select. It will say here that if you choose something different than standard, it adds 1 to 2 weeks. Not much. What I absolutely love is how they have 28 inches as their standard size. Many would be 27, so you get a little bit longer than standard for no additional cost at no additional time. My sword I had selected was this 29 inch right here, so it did add some cost and time. Now it's going to ask about your cutting edge. Do you want it designed as an Ito, or do you want a razor edge, or do you want some Niku on this? Again, it explains what those things mean, and then you can select an image magnification here and get a little bit better idea on exactly what that happens. So it shows you the profile, the meat of the blade, so to speak, that comes with Niku. So you can select your option there. Notice it does not add any additional time. Next, you select your Tsukurikomi. Nice thing about this here is it does go into detail on the specific specs and show you the profiles. Changing from the standard will result in a 1 to 2 week increase. What I found was it's not 1 to 2 weeks on top of 1 to 2 weeks on top of 1 to 2 weeks. It's 1 to 2 weeks from the initial order. So if you have other items that add 1 to 2 weeks, it just gets included within that time frame. It doesn't stack. So you get very good descriptions and images of what those come out to be. I opted for the standard Shinogi Zukuri type to not really increase any extra time. So you'll notice that you can select that for no additional cost. So we'll go ahead and select that here and move on. Now here you get to select your Bohi. What I liked about the Bohi options is that they did have multiple options, a few more than normal, and it doesn't add any additional time. I went with futasuji-hi because it's something I haven't had before, so I paid a small upcharge for that, no additional time. Next, it asks if you want a Yokote or not. There's only one answer for me on that one, so I went ahead and selected that. And then it asks you for your Hamon. Your Hamon is dictated by your original steel selection, so there are certain things that are omitted based on what you've chosen there. I think on my original order, I selected a Kochoji Real. What I ended up getting was more of a Gunome, kind of Madari Gunome, honestly. I didn't hate it, so I was okay with that. I'm not exactly sure what happened there with the difference, but what I received was gorgeous, so I'm okay with it there. Blade polish, you've got your 3 different types of polishing. I did go with the most aesthetic polishing available. You can add a Mei if you would like. It was not important to me, so I selected that there. Now, here's another thing. Handling, Tsuka length. 1 to 2 weeks from standard, but take a look at their standard. Their standard's 11 inches. That's longer than many shops' standard as well. I opted for 12 just because of the blade length here. Now you can select your Tsuka-Ito material. They do offer both artificial silk as well as Japanese silk. What I loved is they had high quality images that you can zoom in on and get a really good idea of what the texture might feel like. So if you're comparing the artificial silk to the Japanese silk, you can kind of see the difference. I opted for the artificial silk. In hindsight, for the very small upcharge that it was to add the Japanese silk, I would recommend that, and I would take that if I did it again. $45. You're not going to get silk for less than $45. Now you can choose your wrapping style. They do have the standard Hinerimaki and the battle wrap. And they also have those 2 available with or without Hishigami. I did opt for Hishigami because I wanted it as tight as possible. Very small upcharge. Here you can select your Samigawa color. They do have 3 different options. I opted for black in this configuration. So we'll select that there. No different charge, no upcharge there. It's an easy swap. And now you can choose how you want your Samigawa to be applied. Now, one thing I will call out here, and this has been called out before by plenty of other experts, is the panel wrap will get you kind of the most attractive Tsuka shape. And if you opt for a full wrap, you'll see you lose some of that shape. The Tsuka is not reprofiled. So I opted for the panel in this particular instance. Next, you can select your tsuba. They do have it neatly broken down by alloy tsuba, iron, as well as brass. Very high quality images. On any of those images, you can see a very clear photo. I like to go traditional, so I went with iron and found a Moko style tsuba that I selected that I felt looked pretty traditional, didn't look modern. From here, we now move to the Habaki selection. You do have not the widest selection of habaki, but I think appropriate and attractive looking habaki to select from. So for this particular setup, I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I wanted to try the silver plated setup and see what that looked like. Next, you get into Fuchi and Kashira, and they have it broken down again by alloy, iron, and brass, which I appreciate because if you wanted a matched set, material-wise, it's very easy for you to do that, which is what I wanted. So I went to iron, and I selected a Sakura-themed iron Fuchi Kashira. So very, I think, traditional looking, and we went ahead and added that. Next, we get to Manuki, alloy and brass selections, no iron, makes sense. Less important, in my opinion, if it's alloy or brass, since you're not touching it or feeling it, and it's underneath that wrap. So the specific design that I wanted was the kind of Buddhist-themed design here, which is in the alloy section, so we went ahead and added that for no charge. In the Sayat selection, you have it broken down by standard at no additional cost versus premium. One thing I really appreciated was the very large images of the Saya. In many sites, this is overlooked and the images are quite poor and you can't see the details, so you don't quite know what you're purchasing or what you're selecting. I opted to go into the premium section to get a complete faux ray skin wrapped Saya. It's faux because there's no way that I got it for this price, but at $100, it was still one of the largest upgrades on this sword. Tsugeo is available in standard artificial silk in the heavy duty section that we're familiar with. I selected this model here, but they do also have the Japanese style high quality Tsugeo available for an upcharge. Less options, less colored options, but it's available to you for a very simple upcharge. After shipping, I pay more than $25. You can then select your bag. There's no additional cost here. These are pretty traditional offerings across the board, so nothing special here. And then from this point, if you need an additional option as far as a stand, they do have stands available as well. So they have desktop stands, they have wall hanging stands, which is quite nice. I did not need any of those things. So pretty much at this point, I'm done with my selection, and you have your order summary broken out by blade options, mounting options, a scabbard, and extras. So you can really see where you're getting your money added here. My total came out to $552. But if you look at that, $100 of $552 was that scabbard, that Saya. So really, we could change that and put this in a completely different category should we want to. It's got edit options for you to select, so you can make changes if you would like. This is truly the best presentation that I've had. Comments, if you need to add some comments in there about things you might be looking for, special requests, you add it to your cart. You have your various payment options available to you, all the popular ones. You do not have to use just PayPal. You could use credit cards, which is fantastic for those of us that don't want to use PayPal. Again, you could view it broken down by blade, handle, and scabbard. But really, we are just ready to rock and roll at this point and click proceed to check out and move into the sword. So let's go ahead and do that. The execution from what I ordered and what I received was absolutely fantastic. This was just a big, beefy bastard of a sword that I absolutely loved to take out of the box and kind of hold in my hands. I was very impressed with the quality of it. I don't know what I expected, and I don't know why I had any sort of, I guess, ideas of what it was going to look like, but I was definitely impressed. The Tsuka had a nice shape to it, which was partly probably because I requested the panels instead of the full wrap. The Kashira was nice and even with the Tsuka-Ito wrap. There were no ledges. The iron Kashira and Fuchi with the Sakura theme looked very nice to me. It was a good cast. There were not any issues. The Samigawa was on the juvenile side, but I think did its point well. Nice flush Mikugi fitting there. The Hishigami was very, very, very tight. Not the tightest I felt, but probably in the number 2 spot. No concerns about it getting loose at all. Very, very tight. Next on that, I would say the alloy fittings of the Manuki looked perfect. They looked great. The fit of the Tsuka to the Fuchi was also done very well, and there weren't any ledges. The Suba, I liked the Suba. It was a nice design. It was a traditional design. It was painted, and it felt like it was painted a little bit heavily. I think I would have more preferred it in a natural, unfinished way, and if it would have patinaed, that would have been awesome. Obviously, this is not going to patina because it's thickly painted, but it still accomplished what I was looking for, and that was that traditional feel. The handle had nice proportions to it, had a nice profile, was not oversized, and the fitment to the Tsaya was on point. Taking a look at the Tsaya now, this is a very good job in tomfoolery here and fooling us, because the print that was used for the Same wrap, I think it could have very easily had the same nodules throughout, but they made sure to have varying size nodules from the print to make it look like it was actual Samegawa. So I appreciate that, because from a distance it does look like it is authentic. You know, there's some emperor nodes in some places, it gets tiny in other places. We've got a buffalo horn koiguchi, it's done very well. Buffalo horn kurigata. The shidodome were loose, that's normal, glue them in. Heavy duty artificial silk sageo, buffalo horn kojuri. So Saya was done very well. My favorite bit here, this big beefy blade with a beautiful folding pattern and beautiful Hamon, and equally excellent polish to bring out those two characteristics. No reverse polish here, it just looks damn good. One of the things that I was a little bit surprised with was I did select sharp with Niku. I don't know if this sword maybe started with more Niku than I received it, and as a result of the polishing option that I selected, it removed some of that, because it did have scant Niku. It was there, but it wasn't, as you can see here, it was not very strong. But the blade is actually fantastic. The Hibaki fit is pretty good. There's not really a lot of errors there. The alignment to the Tsuba to the Tsuka is great. As we take a look at the detail, this is really where this sword shines. The hara is very pronounced, and you can see the patterns there. The Hamon is very pronounced. The Nie is very pronounced as well. Not really any ashi present, but they probably weren't trying to go for that. But what they were trying to go for, I think they did an excellent job in bringing it out. The blade flats were clean. The dual he was also very clean as well, because I think that's an area where it would be very easy to make some mistakes. As you can see here, there is just activity and something to look at throughout the entire length of this sword. And again, this was a 1095 folded clay tempered sword. It was not any sort of lamination or anything like that. It is beefy, so my left hand's shaking a little bit. Yes, I know. Again, another view here from the other side of the blade, and you can see it is just as beautiful on the reverse. So that the he is done very well on both sides, so you don't see much signs of rippling. It seems like they've got that for the most part taken care of, and they understand how to do it successfully. We'll talk about in a second here an area for improvement, I think. But again, these stills are going to show you just how attractive this sword is for the price point. Again, you take the Saya out of there and you're down to $442. So it's just crazy what you can get these days for your money. Baffling. So HanBon Forge is definitely popped on my radar because they can produce this at this point. The Boshi, very, very pronounced. Sometimes The Hamon fades away at the Boshi, but you can see it here clear as day, very defined, easy to see. Again, attention to detail. One thing I think where they might have had a little bit of an area for change in alignment would be toward the Kasaki, the Bohi detail there. You can see it moves out of that alignment of the Shinogi area a little bit, but it's a very small thing when you're looking at the sword as a whole with what they have accomplished. So I love this thing. It's great. It is very beefy. It is definitely a training sword for me and not a finesse sword.
So here we are. I know that was a lot of information, and this is a little bit longer of a review, but I think it was worth seeing everything from beginning to end. There are plenty of custom order locations out there, but many times what you ask for on the order sheet and what you get don't necessarily match up. I feel Swordis.com did a very good job of conveying the information to HanBon Forge, and then HanBon Forge in turn did a very good job of executing that with very minimal issues in doing those two things. Part of that is the fact that Swordis and the 3 different vendors that they work with in the custom order have agreed to have a finite number of configurations. That's really important because what that does is it allows them to control the amount of time it takes to process it. It allows them to be able to give accurate quotes on the amount of time it takes to produce it. And you get a quality experience that I experienced myself. And then you should receive a product that was what you ordered. So can I recommend the Swordis.com custom order experience? Absolutely. I would, without a doubt, especially for someone that doesn't necessarily know exactly what they're ordering and why they're ordering it, and would like a little bit more guidance throughout the process, or at least be given some more information with visual tools to be able to assist in those decisions. Can I recommend HanBon Forge? Absolutely, I can recommend HanBon Forge. It's a fantastic sword. It's the first that I've received, so I hope that I get to try more in the future, because I think that, one is kind of hard to base an all-encompassing opinion on. You might have got lucky, or you might have had a design that just happened to work well with your body dynamics or whatnot. But I really enjoyed it. I love the craftsmanship of it, the work of it, the detail of it, and I hope to come across another one to see if that continues on or if I have an anomaly. So stay tuned to see, potentially we might get some more come through. But overall, I can wholeheartedly recommend both of those options for any sort of person, whether they're into art collecting or backyard cutting or practitioner. I think they have options for everybody, and they make those options clear. So I hope that this somewhat lengthy review was able to guide someone further along in that process, or direct someone to Swordis or to HanBon. You can order from HanBon direct. You can order other items from Swordis that are off-the-shelf items. You also can order from Swordis custom direct. And there's a little bit extra care that I discussed previously that goes in that, which I think is a benefit. I didn't see that it cost me truly any more money than it would if I went to direct. I know some people feel that way. If you don't go direct to the forge, you're spending more money. But again, to reiterate one of the things that I mentioned earlier, the nice part about this is that Swordis is your interface with the company. If there's an issue, Swordis is really the person that's taking care of that. You don't have to deal with the manufacturer on that, because at the end of the day, they need to make that right. And everything I've seen from them is exemplary customer service, quick communication, and not excessive communication, but constant communication throughout the process. So, yeah, pretty good setup, pretty good deal. Hope more people take advantage of it. So thank you for tuning into this rambly review here of a double header, and I hope you enjoyed the walkthrough, and I hope you enjoyed the sword. Can't wait to see you on the next review. Take care, everyone.
Studio GDT reviews are made possible by the following sponsors: